Insurance fraud is a crime, but sometimes the devil is in the details. Forensic accounting. We'll tell you what that is on this edition of the Texas Insurance Podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm Ben Gonzalez. Today, we're talking with Vivian Cervantes. She's a financial analyst in TDI's fraud unit, and she's got a very particular set of skills. If you find this information useful, be sure to like and subscribe to the Texas Insurance Podcast and share it with your friends and family. Hey, Vivian. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Great. So TDI's fraud unit has investigators and prosecutors, lots of different support experts, but your position is kind of unique here. Tell us what you do.
Yes, so I'm a financial analyst. I perform financial analysis as well as forensic accounting services. Sometimes that analysis is as simple as converting bank statements into an Excel spreadsheet and then providing summary tables for our investigators. Other times it's a little bit more complex. It takes using those bank statements and cross-referencing billing records from doctors, claims data from insurance companies. It all depends on the case. Day to day, though, my day looks like taking those bank statements, converting it, and then doing a tracing of flow of funds and seeing where those funds were used.
So are there other financial analysts here at TDI?
I'm currently the only one with a fraud unit. So
you're a very specialized position. What is forensic accounting?
Yeah, so forensic accounting is just the marriage of accounting and investigating. So where accounting may generally involve the records and the recording of transactions, forensic accounting is taking those records and using them to try to see if there's kind of a misuse of funds or if there's kind of this odd pattern of behavior going on within the money. And that's just kind of the nature of it.
So, bank statements are things that people recognize, and these are from corporations, but you're looking for kind of the red flags and how money moves, right?
Yes. And oftentimes we may see kind of money from insurance companies coming into the accounts, but we're not seeing money from those accounts go back out. So for instance, insurers may be paying their premiums directly to an insurance agent, but we're not seeing those premiums paid out in turn to the insurance company. Kind of a diversion of premiums happening there.
So are you looking at kind of raw sets of data, or are they already associated with a case?
It can be. Raw sets of data may come from insurance companies, such as their billing or claims data, in which we'll need to go ahead and filter through, kind of learn the healthcare codes associated with that to try to determine what's going on there.
And they're not all the same, right?
No.
Each company has their own way of doing things.
Right.
But is the data that you're looking at usually associated with a case that's already under investigation?
Yes. So typically by the time it's referred to me, it's been opened by one of our investigators who have in turn may have been referred to by a special investigative unit within an insurance company.
Okay. So, but you mentioned before we started that sometimes you see something that could expand the scope of the investigation?
Yes. So oftentimes we'll be going through a bank data from of someone that we're investigating and see things outside of the scope of our investigation. For instance, we might have someone who's, accused or
maybe a co-conspirator, possibly.
Yes, that as well as, okay, we see this person potential premium diversion happening here. Oh, but then they also had filed unemployment and we see unemployment payments coming in, but they've got a job. They're getting direct deposit from. So that can often lead to another case as well.
So this sounds like super specialized work. Were our investigators doing this before you came in?
They were.
And they still are.
Yeah, some of them still are. They've got a larger caseload than I do. There are 20 to 30 investigators handling the state of Texas. So where I come in is I can kind of take that off their plate so that they can focus on those cases.
Awesome. So what kind of cases have you worked on recently?
Yeah, so we can do premium diversion cases. Saw one of those. I think I'm actually currently still working on that.
What's premium diversion?
That's where we kind of briefly touched on it earlier, where an insurer will pay an insurance agent their premium money, but that insurance agent is not paying that toward their policy with the insurance company.
So it gets diverted to their own personal uses.
Correct.
Other interesting cases you worked on?
Yes. Identity theft, where agents will kind of take someone's name or the credentials without their knowledge or consent, create a policy that way. And then we just had a large one involving a pill mill that we went ahead and indicted on. So that was one of the larger ones.
So you mentioned the term pill mills.
Yeah.
What does that mean for folks that don't recognize that term?
Yes. So it's a patient coming into a doctor or a clinic and paying X amount of money for medication that they may not necessarily need. And sometimes, as is in this instance, it was a controlled substance, which typically you're not supposed to prescribe unless it's actually medically needed. So what these doctors were doing were taking money from patients, providing these controlled substances to them, and then billing the insurance companies for services not rendered.
And that's just a way for them to get a lot of money into their coffers then.
Yes.
And what happened to the individuals that were caught in that situation?
Yeah, so they were found guilty of fraud. They'd been trying to, they'd billed these insurance companies $45 million, ended up getting paid out $9 million. And as a result, they were charged. They were found to be guilty. They lost their medical licenses, and now they've been sentenced to prison.
So those, in that particular case, those were doctors that were committing these crimes, but they could be insurance companies or individuals that work for companies?
Correct. Typically, anyone committing any type of insurance fraud, the TDI fraud unit handles.
Right. So insurance fraud is a crime.
Yes, it is.
Why is this work important? I mean, what are you and the fraud unit trying to stop from happening?
Right. So we see insurance fraud happening on a daily basis, and insurance fraud leads to increased insurance premiums. So what we're trying to do is cut down on the amount of fraud happening, and in turn hope to keep insurance affordable by kind of lessening the impact that fraud is having on insurance premiums and the rate of increase that happens on a yearly basis.
So it's kind of two-pronged. You stop the bad guy, and you also hopefully create kind of a deterrent effect for others. Is it correct that you can sometimes return money to fraud victims?
In some instances, we do try in every case that we handle. Sometimes courts will be able to order a defendant to pay restitution. Other times, this is where my role comes in. If there's still fraudulent funds still in that bank account that we can seize, courts will try to seize that to try to pay victims back.
You mentioned courts. That's a good point for us to make, that our fraud unit helps build cases that we get from tips and maybe insurance companies' internal security.
Right.
And then we build a case to turn it over to prosecutors, correct?
Correct. And they'll work hand in hand with prosecutors. And if that case ends up going to trial, our investigators can testify to try to get that fraudster convicted.
Okay. So that's kind of the big view. Let's bring it down to the individuals. What should we know about preventing being caught in insurance fraud?
Yeah. The best thing I can say is just do your due diligence. TDI has a website that you can go ahead and see if that agent that you're trying to transact with is licensed by TDI. You can also give TDI a call. You can also just as simply search that person on Google, see what their reviews are. And in any instance that you're transacting with someone, try to leave a paper trail. If where possible, don't pay in cash, use debit or credit. And just do your research. If something feels wrong, then it probably is wrong.
Right. You should be paying the insurance company, not
correct.
An agent
Where
directly.
possible, try to pay the insurance company directly. Great. There are smaller places that try to make you pay directly to the insurance agent. That's okay to transact with as long as you know that that's a reputable person and a reputable company, but always try to pay the insurance company directly.
All right. Anything else that we didn't cover today?
I think that's about it.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for doing this, and I hope we get some people some information about insurance fraud.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me.
So now that you know how TDI is crunching the numbers to stop fraud, watch this video about how TDI stopped one fraudster who stole millions from older Texans. If you've got insurance questions or fraud questions, visit our website or call our helpline. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.